dropping a car vlog. And gals are having a wonderful day. If nobody tells you, know that God loves you, Christ loves you, and I love you as well. Hope you guys and gals are having a great afternoon, night, evening, whatever time zone you at. We got love from Russia in the chat. We got love from India. We got love from everywhere. So God is love. The ultimate culmination of it. So remember that. Make sure you subscribe to, the Take It Home podcast, where I talk about professional wrestling topics and I put up my matches. It's Classic Alpha, professional wrestler of 13 years. Tomorrow, I will drop Classic Alpha versus Joey Blues from Fab Wrestling No Mercy in December. Great match. Shout out to Joey. Shout out to Fab Wrestling for allowing us to perform. They also used our ring for rental, so we also getting into that business as well. Got to get some extra money for ourselves and take care of a lot of other stuff as well. Make sure you subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling, me and my wife's professional wrestling company. Make sure you guys look at all the matches from throughout the years, this year included. Make sure you like and subscribe to that. Tell me your favorite wrestler on the C3 Ultimate Wrestling roster. And then get ready. Get tickets for February 21st for Big Business, B-I-G Business. Tickets are on sale on Eventbrite. They're $5 off, but they'll be $5 more at the door. Dyer, Indiana. Harold's probably venue once again. Get those tickets. So I've been letting this sizzle for a little bit about David Otunga. Apparently, I don't know how long he has had this channel, but David Otunga has a YouTube channel. He talks about wrestling. He talks about some of the stuff backstage, and he also talks about like lawyer stuff, like a little bit of it involving it, you know. First and foremost, I remember David Otunga. I think a lot of us do for the most part. Some remember him from WWE. I remember him from I Love New York. I remember I used to love watching these reality shows on VH1, and New York was a contestant who was a runner-up for 2 seasons of Flavor of Love until they gave her own show. David Otunga was on her show, and his name was Punk. And he basically looked the same. He's Punk. I think he was like 3rd place in a competition or whatever like that. So when I remember seeing him when they was doing like the NXT stuff, I was like, that's Punk from I Love New York, which is crazy. It was crazy to me at the time. What's going on, Micah? What's going on? I'm doing great. What's going on, Carl? I hope everything is great for you guys and gals as well. So, I remember David Otunga from I Love New York because he was the contestant called Punk. And I think he made like 3rd place or something like that. Like he was like very, very close or whatever and stuff like that. So, I remember that. So I always thought that was funny that like when he showed up to NXT, I was like, oh, that's Punk. But his name is David Otunga. You know, I knew he was a lawyer because I believe he spoke about it on the show and stuff like that. So I do remember that. So thank you. Appreciate the love. Subscribe and like, please. So we know the story of the Nexus. We know the missed opportunities with the Nexus. We know a lot of this stuff. So anyway, going into the matter at hand for the video, I've read a couple of the comments that he has said concerning John Cena. And I wanted to give my thoughts on about 3 or 4 of them. One of them, excuse me, I had Mountain Dew, and I don't, you know. One of them was, well, actually, I want to say 4 things. Let me say this first, before the John Cena thing. He said that there was supposed to be like a Nexus documentary, and he said that it actually finished filming, but WWE scrapped it. Like it was supposed to be done through like the network or Peacock or whatever streaming service, but they axed it. Now let me say this real quick. I don't want to see a Nexus documentary because no diss to nobody in the Nexus, and it is WWE's fault and stuff like that, but that's not going to be like one of the greatest factions of all time. It could have had, it was a good impact. It was a great impact, but it wasn't. They you know, Wade Barrett, it should have led to Wade Barrett being a world champion, and it never happened. It never happened. We seen what happened with the Nexus and stuff, and then John Cena was with the Nexus. He had to be a part of the Nexus, help them do evil things, and then Wade Barrett was like, hey, you're going to be the referee when I go against Randy Orton, who was the champion at the time, and if I lose, if I don't win this championship, you're fired. What happened? Wade should have won. Didn't happen. Wade lost. John Cena was fired and showed up the next week to get jumped. Y'all, hey, we do not need a Nexus Documentary. No, it's wrestling. We don't need a Nexus documentary. We don't. They did y'all so wrong. And I'll say this. I'll say it like this. Maybe some people were not ready. Maybe some of them were. But we don't need a documentary because there was no payoff. It was just nothing. I mean, even John Cena himself said, like, he made mistakes as far as the storyline and stuff about having, needing to lose to certain people. Because when John Cena came back after being fired for a week and basically just went through NXT at the Nexus. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get you guys and go through you guys one by one, not Diddy style, Cena style, of course. And he did. He did. So y'all don't need a documentary. I know people were asking about it, but I don't know. Maybe he said they shouldn't have did it or whatever. Maybe because they'll get royalties or something for it or whatever. But they don't need a Nexus documentary because the end game of it didn't end very well. Some people changed their thing. They went other places, changed their characters and stuff like that. But still, it's some other things. So going into that, one of the things that he did say was he said that John Cena was responsible for sending Bray Wyatt, Husky Harris, to FCW. Now, if you don't know, before Bray Wyatt was Bray Wyatt, he was Husky Harris, and he was like, part of the NXT thing and stuff like that. And these taglines is like kind of misleading because it'd be like he's son of former champion. Now, Husky Harris, aka, his real name, Rotunda. I don't know his real name. Bo, is it Bo? No, it's not Bo. It's you guys know his real name. I can't look. I'm driving. So, obviously he is a 2 or 3 time world champion. And basically they're saying like, oh, he's son. And now, sure, you can say it, but it's still somewhat misleading on how they saying it. So basically, David Otunga said that Husky had a match with John Cena and alleged Cena said he got poked in the eye. So like John Cena was mad and upset and was basically like, nah, you need to go back. You need to go back to developmental. You need to go back to developmental. FCW, which was before NXT or whatever like that. So Husky going there obviously perfected his craft and learned stuff and became Bray Wyatt. So to me, I think that was a good decision. Honestly. Now, I don't know if Husky had Bray Wyatt in the clip already and was like working on it back then and they said no to it or whatever like that, but I remember the NXT stuff and people was talking about the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt and stuff like that. A lot of people was talking about that kind of stuff. So I do think that was a way. I think that Husky Harris needed that for the character development and stuff. Maybe he knew what it's like to be at the top and then to go at the bottom. Not saying developmental's at the bottom per se, but a lot of people feel disrespected when they got to go back to developmental. But he developed more deeper into the character of Bray Wyatt, a character that people still love to this day. They cherish it. People have tattoos. People still sing it. People get emotional. The Fireflies and stuff like that, and it seems like John Cena had a great relationship with Bray Wyatt for the most part. So even with that, sometimes you do have to go back to where you started from and learn something new. I can't sit here and say like I was like into NXT like that to be like, oh, well, he didn't need developmental. But sometimes even if you feel like you're established or you're a vet in the game, sometimes you need to reset. So I know what he was speaking about it and stuff like that and saying like, Husky / Bray didn't really want to go, but honestly, I do think it was a blessing in disguise as far as Bray Wyatt is concerned with his character and with development. I truly think that was a good thing. And like I said, if they put Bray in the Hall of Fame, you'll understand why and stuff like that. So like I said, developmental can be a punishment for some people, but sometimes it's not even just that, it's discipline. Hey, you need to get better. So I do think that it did benefit Bray Wyatt for the most part. So he spoke about that. He also spoke about John Cena. He was upset with how one of the angles started, how one of the angles ended with the Nexus and the faces of WWE Raw. Apparently, they did some spot, and then the faces they ran off Nexus from jumping John Cena and whatnot. Now I don't know the clip. Hopefully I can find it, or somebody can find it, and I'll get to it. But apparently John Cena was mad, saying like the faces were like smiling and stuff. It wasn't taking it serious that they were chasing off the Nexus. Now I can definitely understand the frustration. Now he said that he berated Morrison, like he was just disrespecting him and just in his face and how dare you and stuff like that. And I can definitely see that. I can definitely see why he was upset. Now I don't know exactly what he said and how he said it, and we only going off of David's side. John has not spoken, but still, that is a big thing to where you are trying to make this storyline seem very serious, very real, very dramatic and stuff like that. And Nexus, like I said, their debut was a big impact because they destroyed everything. The wrestlers, the staff, security, they destroyed the ring, the commentators and ring announcers and stuff. Remember Bryan Danielson, formerly known as Daniel Bryan, he choked out Justin Roberts with his tie and got fired for that. Even then, that was a little lore to it that I really liked. You know what I'm saying? They had that and stuff like that. So, like, if you was a guy who probably got jumped by the Nexus and you're helping somebody or trying to get your get back, smiling is not a good thing to try to get a get back when they're running away. So I don't know. I haven't seen the clip, but still, there are other times where, like, I know Jim Cornette, he slapped Santino Marella one time because they was trying to sell that the Boogeyman was like a legit threat, like a scary guy. And while the Boogeyman was walking and talking to people, you literally see Santino smiling and stuff and laughing, like not feeling intimidated, which is weird because Santino wasn't doing the Santino thing that he was doing. And I can definitely see him as a comedic act being scared, but I guess whatever he was doing there, I think he was like a shoot fighter, MMA fighter that they was trying to do, and that made Jim upset. I believe Jim put his hands on him and Jim got in trouble for that. But still, sometimes you do have to take things serious. And honestly, a group that jumped everybody, like everybody that was part of the WWE staff, definitely should take that very, very seriously. You get what I'm saying? Should take it very serious. So I can understand his frustrations. I don't know the level of frustrations that he went to do it, but still. Then there was also a time where he said that him and Cena was doing the match in Paris. He said he was doing a match in Paris, and he was saying that he was talking to Goldust. David was talking to Goldust, and then Goldust was like advising, hey, add this part to the match. You don't even have to tell Cena will understand it and stuff like that, which is also a bad thing. I do think anything with the ropes is dangerous. Wrestling is dangerous in itself. So trying to do things and trying to add certain things, especially with the ropes, is just something. So apparently when they tried to do the spot, David was in position, but like John Cena looked awkward. And then David said that Cena just started taking his liberties out on David and was calling him stupid. I don't want to say stupid. I'm thinking of Randy calling Kofi stupid, but he was saying stuff and you need to do this and you need to do that. And then he said when he went to the back, he was like, oh man, he berated him. How dare you? You need training. You're not this. You're not that. Being very disrespectful to him. And then David was like, oh man, like, I've never been talked to like that before. And then he was like, even Goldust said, oh man, like that was crazy. Then he said that Goldust alluded to going to speak to John Cena about the situation. So, like David is upset. I don't want to say upset. I think he was just like, and he has a right to speak about what he experienced in it and stuff like that. I know that some people are going to some people it's not going to bother them much because John Cena is retiring soon. And I know that in a few days actually. And I also know that some people are going to be like, oh well, of all times, why would you say this now? You was in WWE for like 10 years and stuff like that, or over 10 years. Why would you do something like that? You don't need to do this kind of stuff. Like let John Cena just ride off to the sunset. I'm kind of like that. I'm leaning more towards that, but to each their own. That's a grown man. So he can say what he want to say on his own channel. Now, I do feel a certain way about wrestlers who do get channels to feel like they got to give out dirt and got to give out receipts. Maven's channel kind of is like that too in a way. Like some of Maven's stuff is cool, and then some of it is just, oh man, he's just being messy. Now, I'm not even sitting here trying to put a cape on WWE, but I'm just saying, it's just like, okay, well, you may or may not care about wrestling, but you definitely is going to try to make some money off of it. And, sort of like what some bloggers and stuff do, which is weird. It's just like wrestlers get mad that bloggers sometimes be disingenuous about certain things, but then now the wrestlers are becoming bloggers being disingenuous about stuff. It's funny how life works. It is definitely funny how life works when it comes to those kind of situations, honestly. If this happened, if it's true, I mean, he's not the first person that has said something about John Cena politics or antics or frustrations with stuff. I don't know if you guys remember Tyler Rex, formerly known as Tyler Rex. I know that he has transitioned, but to something else. But his finishing move was a burning hammer. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Kelly? His finishing move was a burning hammer. And basically he said that John Cena didn't want him to do it because it was similar to the attitude adjustment. And it kind of was. It honestly was. Like the way he did it, it wasn't like a Kenta burning hammer. It sort of was like an attitude adjustment, but the person lands on their side. So it did. So he said that John Cena approached him and was like, hey, could you change your move or whatever? Tyler didn't feel that right because that was Tyler's move. It did look okay. But, let's be honest. The attitude adjustment is like a great finishing move because Cena and his opponents made it look great and stuff. But still, I know Chavo has said stuff. I know like a few wrestlers have come out the woodwork and said, okay, well, they didn't like how John Cena treated them, or John Cena is egotistical. They've said stuff. And honestly, in the wrestling business, somebody's going to say that about any wrestler, even if it's true or not. But I don't think it's like going to slow down like any emotion of John Cena. Like, I don't think people are going to call him, oh, you're Cena Hogan, John Hogan, or Hulk Cena. I don't think they're going to do that and stuff like that. They're going to be like, oh, okay, they might speak about it like I'm doing or whatever like that. And some people are going to say, oh, well, David must be bitter and stuff like that because it didn't work out for him. Everything could be true. All things could be true at the same time. Like I said, he has a YouTube channel now and he speaks about it and stuff. And you can see like in his green screen background, he has like the NXT championship, his tag championships that he won, and the Nexus armband and stuff. So obviously it was something that he's proud of. Now I will say, and like I said at the beginning of this video, yeah, they definitely should have did better to the Nexus. Like Wade should have been a world champion off of that alone. What they did to them was just crazy, just super duper crazy, like nasty work. Like it was to the point where CM Punk was part of the Nexus, kicked Wade out, and then Wade went to SmackDown and made a group called The Core with like 2 R's in it, and talking about, oh, well, there's no leader like the Nexus, everybody's all the same. But we knew that Wade Barrett was the leader. Oh man, like what is going on, man? Shout out to Sun God Trio. But still, nowadays with content creators, biggest thing is to make content. Not only just make content, but get content, have views, and get viewers. For example, I have my own stuff that I'm speaking about, and I'm speaking about somebody else's content off of their channel. That's the kind of things that work because people are going to look at the videos. Not only are they going to look at his videos, they're going to sub to see just in case he says anything else. They're also going to try to find the video clips of the stuff that he said happened so they can compare and they can add to it. Jim Cornette will speak about it. I know Jim Cornette, he just recently spoke about David Otunga when David Otunga was saying that the Great Khali unalived somebody in OVW, and that wasn't the case. It was actually another company, but David Otunga said the wrong company, and that's very dangerous to do because now you can mess up that company's money. Now, Jim is no longer affiliated with OVW, but still, OVW is still running. So still, when somebody says that and then you're like, oh, well, dang, I don't want them there because something happened, you got to be careful with those kind of things. And I would think that even David Otunga, being a lawyer, would have, did more research about the situation. Because I do remember this situation, because I remember reading on it years ago, and I was like, I don't recall this happening in OVW. So even with that, some people will look at what he said about the Great Khali and saying that it was the wrong company that he had accidentally did something to, but then and be like, okay, well, are you sure it was John Cena? Maybe you mean Randy Orton, since you had some good information about it. So, still, stuff to think about. Stuff to think about. Like I said, two things can be true at the same time. And maybe John Cena is a quality wrestler. Some people are very big on quality. They are very big on quality. Also, they don't want to look stupid. And I do think, like with wrestling, I'm a big quality person. And if anything makes somebody look stupid, as a wrestler, you either recover from it or you gotta fix it. Good afternoon. When Randy Orton was mad at Kofi for not getting ready for the punt kick, you see that Randy Orton, stupid, 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 like he was loud with it. A lot of y'all wasn't calling for Randy to be fired or nothing, and I don't think anything's gonna happen with John, obviously. To me, I would sweep it under. I don't want to say sweep it under the rug. I don't even mind being like informed and stuff like that. But some people are just gonna be like, well, dang, why did you just say this all of a sudden? What's going on, Apollo? Why did you just say this all of a sudden? You should have been said it. Now, I don't know how deep or how serious the NDA that David Otunga had, because I know that he was a representative for WWE for a bit too. So I'm sure he had all kind of other NDAs that wasn't even as far as WWE wrestling. But still, I did think that those were interesting tidbits as far as like him speaking on Cena and stuff. He did say, like, on a positive note, like, he did see that, like, John Cena did care about, like, his craft and, like, certain things. Like, he definitely did care about certain things and certain stuff. So, he did give him, like, praise for that. I don't want to just sit and say, oh, he just crapped on John Cena and stuff like that. But still, it's still interesting takes. What did you guys think? Are you guys going to look at it? Because you can look at the whole video and, you can tell me your thoughts and stuff. But let me know. Those are some interesting key points. I hope you guys and gals have a great day. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.